The evening air was tinged with the fragrance of blooming lilacs as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the garden, laughter and chatter mingled with the rustling leaves, but all eyes were drawn to the center of a gathering, celebrating the young child. Surrounded by friends and family, the child breathed in the sweet summer air, standing poised at the head of a table laden with treats and gifts. In the middle of the table, a cake stood proudly, adorned with flickering candles. Their tiny flames seemed almost alive, dancing in tune with the whispers of the wind, waiting patiently for the child to make their wish. It was a turning point, an echo of years to come, though no one could foresee its gravity. The child, eyes wide with wonder and innocence, closed them slowly. Behind those lids, thoughts swirled. Not of toys or adventures, but a simple, profound desire to hold on to the precious, fleeting moments of childhood forever. The wish formed silently, a yearning not to lose the innocence, safety, and simplicity that wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. As the wish condensed into a singular thought, the child leaned forward, filled their chest with hopeful breath, and exhaled. The candles flickered in response, and a shimmering, ethereal light emanated from the child, cascading outwards under the darkening sky. It was a light only the child seemed to notice, a soft, luminescent aura encircling them, hinting at the magic being woven into the fabric of reality. The adults clapped and cheered, oblivious to the silent pact now bound by the threads of fate. In that instant, though feeling unchanged, the world began its intricate dance around them. The night passed, filled with the music of crickets and the echoes of laughter. Yet a subtle transformation was underway. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. For the child, time remained as still as a pond on a windless day. In contrast, the whirlpool of life swirled around them, moving forward with an unyielding momentum. Their family, friends, new faces, and old memories intertwined. They crossed milestones, celebrated achievements, and shed tears for those who passed, all while the child remained a constant in the ever-evolving tableau. Changes came subtly at first. A slower-paced world, new siblings who overtook them or disappeared into adulthood, friends whose visits became infrequent, infatuations unreciprocated, and childish games that grew dull. Their voice, high and youthful, became discordant against the backdrops of mature conversations, often dismissed or lightly entertained out of courtesy. Despite the unchanged exterior, a cherub with untamed curls and wide-eyed curiosity, the child's mind endured a secret metamorphosis. They gathered experiences like a scholar amassing volumes of knowledge, yet all was confined within a vessel that betrayed their accumulated wisdom. The world around the child adapted without notice, accommodating new technologies and ideas, yet somehow they remained shielded from all that seemed uncomfortable or too complex for a child's grasp. The desire for change, recognition, and acknowledgement matured within them, churning restlessly against the unyielding boundaries of their form. Every mirror reflected not just their innocence, but also a bittersweet reminder of the wish that had come true, a boon that now cast a lingering shadow. Thus, they navigated their world, a land both familiar and alien, forever young, exploring the depths of a consequence that turned innocuous hope into everlasting reality. In those early days, when wishes rang through the air like chimes, the child basked in exhilaration. Every morning brought with it a revelation, to have captured time in a bottle, to be blessed with eternal youth. The friends who stood beside them in their journey shared the laughter and the wide-eyed wonder of each discovery. Yet, unbeknownst to them, the clock for everyone else marched industriously forward. Summer days were once filled with the harmonious rhythm of bicycles rattling over cobblestones and the symphony of voices raised in colorful chants of nursery rhymes. The skies always seemed wider in those days, cradling the sun in an embrace that cast warmth over their idyllic playground. The child swung on swings that carried them towards limitless skies, feeling at one with the world, their senses melding with the joyous hum of youth. With seasons passing like the flutter of a bird's wing, the fortunes of the child began to transform in subtle hues of solitude. Their companions, once the apostles of endless play, began to whisper and nudge at future possibilities. As the child remained frozen, their friends started to tingle with the cool currents of change. Lives were moving on, contours of faces subtly reshaping into the likeness of young adulthood, and play was gradually replaced by desires for new experiences. Yet for the child who could not cross this indelible threshold, each departing friend became a ghost, a whisper of joy receding into the caverns of memory. They lingered in the playground alone, clutching the momentary echoes of camaraderie, sitting on the weathered seat of a seesaw that creaked and shifted against their weight, without a partner to balance them. Years turned into tides, each one retreating just as it arrived, leaving behind a shore etched with loneliness. The playground slowly hollowed out its joy, sounds of laughter replaced by a chilling silence. Brick by brick, the hollow feeling set up residence in their heart. Observing their friends evolve was akin to witnessing a painting in progress, colors expanding, merging into patterns from which they were permanently barred. Strained voices of classmates resonated in corridors, lifting subjects and debates that soared over the child's stationary head. Once enthusiastic conversations now condescended into the patient indulgence afforded to a younger sibling amongst older peers. Their minds swirled with ideas and dreams much too extensive to be contained in its juvenile cage. Loner hours passed beneath trees that weathered changing winds like stoic sentinels, oleaginous in their endurance. Here, the child cradled ancient tomes, their fingers tracing the curves of letters, fingers made eloquent with the wisdom locked in their young appearance. Despite endless growth and the wisdom that flourished within, eternally dressed in the garb of innocence, the child was often dismissed before any word could escape tightened lips. Thus, layered amidst the worn pages, shadows stretched beyond the realm of nightfall. The exhaust from departing friendships clouded the gentle night like a fog, turning playgrounds once vibrant into landscapes of stark desertion. Evenings, once filled with the scent of lilacs, turned into silent vigils, with the skies spewing colors that evoked memories of play, sticking to ether and air. The child sat, grounding themselves in soil that smelled of life, even as their heart questioned its lonely bounty. They wished for company, connection, and to be taken as more than their form suggested. Hope clung, fragile and translucent, to the night air as stars peeked into existence, or perhaps it hid within. The world moved on, while the child remained tethered to an unyielding innocence. They were a lingering note in a ballad that carried forth without them, longing for the resonance of their soul to find harmonious recognition. The years trickled by like pages gently turned in an ancient, leather-bound book. With each passing season, the child, graced or accursed with eternal youth, watched the world grow while they stayed the same. Their face, smooth and untouched by time's relentless touch, was a mask concealing a mind overflowing with decades of acquired wisdom. Daily, they would retreat to the city's vast, echoing library, a refuge where they could lose themselves in the silent company of books. Lost among towering stacks, the child was drawn to the worn, familiar sense of parchment and ink, an olfactory time machine that transported them to different eras and lands, allowing their mind to wander freely even as their form stayed trapped. Within these sacred walls, they found solace, but also a powerful sense of introspection. Standing on tiptoe to reach volumes lining high shelves, it was a humble struggle, a symbolic act of reaching beyond the physical, towards an intellectual height their appearance denied them. Here, time played by different rules, becoming unwound and delivered in the narratives of those that came before. Occasionally, the child would catch their reflection in the lacquered glass of the library's ancient mirrors. They saw the paradox of their being. eyes that held centuries of understanding, gazing back from a face untouched by age's wear. In these moments, they felt a kinship with spirits from the past whose ideas had been immortalized in print. In quiet corners, the child amassed knowledge like a miser with gold. Wisdom was their currency in a world that refused to trade in it. They consumed philosophy, history, and art, turning ideas over in their mind as carefully as others might turn gemstones in the light. The whisper of pages was a comfort, filling the void left by a society all too quick to dismiss them as naive. Adults would pass by, their glances flickering over the child like a breeze barely ruffling leaves. Few understood that within the seemingly careless demeanor was a mind as sharp as the finest sword. Conversations, when they were granted, often left the child feeling hollow, reminders that perceptions of age often replaced the voice of true wisdom. There was, however, solace in infrequent encounters with true kindred spirits, often found in the form of elderly patrons who, freer from society's rigid perceptions, saw past the veneer. A young scholar, one septuagenarian, whispered approvingly upon seeing the books piled high beside the child. Such interactions were rare, flickers of light in a life often shaded by misunderstanding. The child longed for acknowledgement, for their insights to be valued without being tainted by presumptions of youth. As the sun arched across the azure dome of sky day to day, the child found themselves in quiet contemplation, often catching their reflection in the glass, looking past the youth to wise, timeless eyes beyond the facade. In those moments, the line between observer and observed seemed to blur, and the child imagined speaking with the person they had become, an ancient sage encapsulated in a tangible illusion. These were times of duality, a life of meditative solitude within a bustling world that treated them like a perpetual guest in their own existence. Yet even amidst such challenges, they nurtured a profound understanding of humanity, not just from the tales bound in books, but from the stories etched in each person they met. Their youthful guise was a charade, yet also a gift, an unexpected conduit for acquiring unfiltered truths. Years would march on, yet the child remained steadfast in their quest for respect, dreaming of a world enlightened enough to see past the surface. They hoped for a time when the wisdom caged within youth might finally be freed, and their voice, carrying the weight of generations, could soar with unrestrained liberty. From the beginning, love was a shadow trailing closely behind the child, a promise and a warning wrapped into one. The world outside, with its bustling crowds and vibrant hues, flickered in and out of the child's life, much like the seasons. Yet it was in those fleeting connections that they learned to grasp the complex tapestry of human emotions. The first pangs of love arrived softly, accompanied by the gentle warmth of a friendship that blossomed like the spring violets that loved the garden's shade. There was a playmate, all laughter and curiosity, a person who looked into their eyes and saw beyond the layers of everlasting childhood. Moments spent beneath a canopy of stars, whispering secrets to the moon, filled their heart with a joy so profound it threatened to spill over. These memories painted the chapters of their story with unadulterated warmth. But time, relentless in its forward march, showed no mercy. Seasons shifted swiftly. Summers faded into autumns, cloaking their surroundings in burnished golds and russets. Meanwhile, the friend who once shared their laughter had grown taller, words developing richer textures as their understanding of the world grew, a transformation rooted in the soil the child could not touch. When their friend left, drawn away by the currents of life that obey the passage of years, the child was thrust into a solitude accentuated by spectral echoes of shared laughter and whispered confidences. New loves emerged, kinds that were tenderly woven into the complex fabric of growing up. There was a first crush whose smile, lit up dreary days like the first burst of sunshine after heavy rain. Yet the crush became just another part of a distant past as time wore on. The child watched helplessly as wrinkles settled upon youthful faces and locks of hair turned from raven to silver, until one day it was only silence that remained. Amidst this cycle of attachment and loss, the child sat by the window, a photographic album balanced on their knees. The album was a sacred reliquary, preserving relationships that had once brushed the surface of the child's life before slipping away. Photographs, pages yellowed by the years, were imbued with laughter that resounded only in memory. Ghostly images of the people they'd loved lingered, a spectral audience wrapped in the nostalgia of moments gone by. The child lingered on each page, tracing the contours of faces blurred by time. Faces of those whose lives had intersected with theirs in fleeting bursts of vibrant humanity until the inexorable rhythm of time carried them apart. Through eyes brimming with tears, the child understood the enormity of time and its capacity to render companionship ephemeral. The laughter that had once danced through the garden now whispered at the fringes of their consciousness, a reminder that love was both a source of immeasurable joy and a harbinger of inevitable heartache. Love, they realized, was not a question of time or its passage, but of cherishable moments suspended in memory's amber. Though anchored in perpetual youth, the child's heart bore scars etched by the specter of loss. In the rawness of solitude, they mourned not only the absence of voices once filled with life's vibrancy, but also the future they couldn't share. Thus, love and loss intertwined, inseparable companions on the path of an everlasting childhood, leaving the child to grapple with the reverberation of empty rooms and the echo of footsteps that once walked beside them, now distant and forever beyond reach. Under a vast spread of inky darkness, only punctuated by the gentle glimmer of stars, the child stood, cradled by the stillness of night. The moon hung low, casting silvery beams that danced upon the quiet river. Its reflective surface shimmered like 1,000 diamonds, holding secrets whispered by the unfolding mystery of nature itself. On the riverbank, the child's hands were dexterous and delicate, folding sheets of paper with careful precision. Each crease held a wish scrawled in fervent hope, eager to unfurl its spell upon the universe. The paper boats bore wishes inscribed with elegant loops and swirls, carved in cursive wisdom that belied the tiny fingers that traced them. The child, locked in an innocent vessel, yet burdened with the weight of accumulated years, possessed a heart that ached to embrace the passage of time. Memories shimmered behind their eyes like the river's surface, each one a faceted gem of experience unshared, yet deeply felt. Now, with longing etched into their very soul, the child sought change. The soft rush of water, like gentle whispers, carried away the boats, filled with whispers of yearning. Each floated with purpose, a tiny argent vessel navigating the gentle currents beneath the velvet canopy, carrying dreams toward an unknown horizon. The boats bobbed and weaved through the water's embrace, as if dancing to a timeless melody only they could hear. Surrounded by nature and its serene beauty, where time unfurled its wings in secret cycles, the child sensed a relentless pulse that moved everything but themselves. The ancient trees stood as silent sentinels, guardians of a world that ticked ever onward, their leaves rustling secrets kept hidden from mortal ears. Even the stars above appeared to promenade, stitching an immortal tapestry across the sky. In solitude, beneath these stars and amidst the gentle whispers of the river, a resolution blossomed within the child. Each wish upon those boats echoed, the chance to move forward, to grow, to join in the rhythms of life denied to them. A rebellion against the perpetual chimera of innocence that their exterior portrayed. The boats disappeared into the vastness, swallowed by darkness beyond vision. Hope cast adrift on the boundless waters of uncertainty. Yet, for the child, it was a moment suspended in infinite resolve. Glancing downward at empty hands, there was a simple, quiet acceptance, a hope that tangible change might emerge from the intangible ether. Minutes bled into hours as the child remained kneeling, head bowed in silent communion with the night. Gentle wind tousled their hair, a caress from nature, or perhaps a silent nod of understanding from the universe itself. Somewhere beyond the whisper of leaves and murmuring water, the child dared to believe the change was within reach. Tonight's ritual was both a farewell and a beginning, an end to the unperceived permanence that encased them, and a plea for time to finally interweave their essence into its inexorable flow. There, nestled within the cradle of nature's enduring symphony, the child found solace amidst the unfolding mystery, a living paradox, longing deeply for transformation against the ever-present tick of time. In the heart of autumn, the air was sharp and filled with the scent of fallen leaves. The child, ever unchanged, stood at the edge of the village, a well-trodden path weaving through russet and gold foliage before disappearing into the forest. The trees whispered tales of transformation, their leaves a kaleidoscope of vibrant decay, and for the first time, those whispers held promise instead of despair. For years, the child had watched the world from a distance, like a painting from which they could not step away. To the villagers, the child was an enigmatic figure, eternally suspended in the innocence of youth, yet burdened with unspoken wisdom. People often passed by, offering nods laced with pity or bewilderment. Yet, among the crowds, there were those whose hearts were not blinded by the strangeness of appearance. It was a friend, older now with the gentle creases of age on their face, who approached with what seemed like just another story shared under the tree where they often met. Beneath the sprawling branches, they whispered of a place, a myth, a hidden gateway that was said to grant passage through time itself, a bridge for those stranded between. The child's curiosity, long dormant beneath layers of frustration and longing, ignited. Could such a place exist? Was there truly a path back to time's gentle embrace and its natural rhythm of growth and change? As the friends spoke, the child's imagination soared, their heart thundering with hope and trepidation. Guided by starlight and driven by an enduring desire for change, the child embarked on a solitary journey. The night was eerily silent, broken only by the crunch of dried leaves underfoot. Though their form was small, their spirit blazed with determination. Upon reaching the whispered-of grove, a sense of the ethereal enveloped them. Soft, luminescent glows danced on the air, swirling with an entrancing rhythm. As the child stepped forward, the lights coalesced, forming a magnificent archway, shimmering with otherworldly colors. Before stepping through, the child whispered a silent farewell to their youthful form, not with sadness, but with gratitude. For all its constraints, it had housed a soul that never ceased to grow. With a resolute step, they entered the arch, the lights washing over them like waves of warmth and renewal. Time, which had once stood still, now flowed around them. Memories like 1,000 vignettes shuffled through their mind, ages passed, hopes unlived, dreams deferred. As the child emerged, the weight of those years crystallized, shaping a form that was vibrant and new, yet intrinsically familiar. Standing now as a young adult, they felt a deep sense of liberation. The world, seen anew through eyes that had known the sorrows and joys of countless seasons, shimmered with opportunity. The village, once a realm of distant echoes, became a place teeming with life, ready to embrace the arrival of a spirit long overshadowed by its own mystery. For the first time, the villagers saw them truly. No longer a curiosity, but a presence, a person whole and seen. Their friend, watching with tears of joy, saw in their eyes the wisdom and warmth of a companion long cherished. Recognition, acceptance, and a future stretched out before them, an open landscape of promise. In that moment, standing amidst swirling leaves and fading starlight, the child who stopped growing up had finally stepped into the life they had silently yearned for. And the world opened itself with open arms, a testament to their courage and the ultimate power of love and change.